Should you take from your 401k to buy a house is what we're going to discuss here. Oh, there go the hands up on the face. I think we've already got our opinion.
It is absolutely robbing Peter to pay Paul if you say you can take from your 401k to buy a home.
Let's do a little background history on American home buying behaviors. Back in the 1980s, the average age of a first-time home buyer was 29. Today, it's gone up about a decade. The average age is now 38. And I feel like that's late in life for first-time home buyers. It's becoming a problem, obviously, because across the country, the inventory is down. I guess it's state to state in a lot of cases, but you're seeing lower inventory. But the price of a house is gotten crazy. Interest rates are back up. So people in their 20s, they just can't afford it. They don't have the cash for a down payment, then keeping up with the interest on mortgages. So President Trump is suggesting that if you're going to buy a home, you could take money out of your 401k and then not have to pay the usual 10% penalty for accessing the money early. Is this a law he's suggesting? Let's dive into that. But then also, are we robbing, as the expression goes, robbing Peter to pay Paul?
So there are some things to know about this. It's not a law currently, but it's a thing of he's suggesting that we should be able to buy homes with 401ks without 10% penalty. That does not exclude income tax consequences, and it also does not help with long term. So currently there's rules that you can do a couple different things. You can withdraw from not from a 401k, from an IRA for first time home purchases.
Yeah.
So you can do that with an IRA or a Roth. But 401ks typically do not allow that provision. So there's a separation.
Okay. Got it.
Your own personal IRA, you can. And a 401k, your company plan, your employer-sponsored plan, there are no provisions currently for it. You can get a loan from your 401k, but most of the time those have a cap of about $50,000. And so you can't really get enough out. You can do maybe a down payment, but what house can you do a 20% down payment with 50 grand? Not many. So I think there's a lot that goes into this. There's a wide range of issues as to why it's hard for people to buy homes right now. First off, cost of homes has gone way, way high. The other one is an interesting but under discussed topic. The average home in 1980 was about 1,400 square feet. So a lot of these like starter homes, what would be a great first house? Our first house was 1,100 square foot. Our first one that we bought, 1,100 square foot, 1-story little ranch with an unfinished basement, right? Yeah. That was our first home. We bought it after the financial crisis, and it was $72,000. We bought it in 2009. Great timing. That same house, and we did some improvements to it, paint, carpet, no additions, but like paint and carpet and spruced it up and made it nicer. Mm-hmm. We sold it for $134,000 in 2016, and then it sold a couple years later for $195,000.
Wow!
And now it's valued at $230,000.
The house that you bought for $72,000 is valued
at
15
years. In 15 years, 16 years now, has gone up to about $225,000. Wow. Same property, same size house. That's crazy. And when we bought it, we were single income. Like we were really just struggling as a young family, and we qualified. The challenge for kids now is there's not any of those homes being built, hardly any, very few. I think as a country, we need to incentivize builders to build communities like this. That way a kid coming out of college can get a home for cheap. Yeah. We had 4 kids and the 2 of us, they were all young, in 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Not ideal, but it worked until we moved, and we sold at a profit and moved up. So that being the case, we need more inventory of houses that are smaller. That way someone coming out can get one. Like what if you're a single person? You're coming out of college. I don't need 2 stories and a quarter of an acre. I just need something to live in that I can then trade up later as I improve the quality and the market goes up. So we need to put more of those. So we need to incentivize builders to build those type of houses. And number 2, a big change that President Trump recently talked about is making it so they're putting a moratorium on corporations buying houses. That's another problem. You've had a lot of companies, big money coming in and buying up all the local houses and then flipping them and renting them and turning them to cash flow properties. That stinks for people. I can't compete with BlackRock's money, and they're going to come through and buy all these properties and turn them around through shell companies.
Making cash offers.
Yeah. And so they're coming with cash offers that I can't compete with. And then what do? They turn around and rent the house to me for above market rental rates because there's no inventory. Mm-hmm. So they got to get rid of companies owning it. So those are two things. I think
Yeah.
we've already done the one and we got to do the other. We got to encourage people to build smaller houses. That being said, as interest rates come down over the next year, we don't want to see, because there's the same inventory at a cheaper money rate, that prices keep going up. We need to build houses that are appropriate and get the businesses out of it. However, it is absolutely robbing Peter to pay Paul if you say you can take from your 401k to buy a home. Currently, if you want to own a real estate property, you can own it inside of an IRA. You have $200,000 in your 401k. You roll it to your own IRA. You can buy real estate, but you can't be the owner of the real estate. You can't live there. It has to be a rental. It has to be an investment property.
Okay.
So you are not allowed to own your own private residence inside of an IRA. Okay. So at least there, the idea is it's an investment. Instead of buying stock, I bought this real estate. I'll flip it later and make money on it. To take money from your 401k to buy a house, if we look at over the last 100 years, real estate has gone up by about 5% per year. The stock market's gone up by 10% per year. So which one's the better investment? Well, clearly the stock market. However, I need somewhere to live. So if you take out $100,000 out of your 401k to do a down payment on a house that's your 20% on a $500,000 house, now I have a home, but I've also just radically derailed a big chunk of my retirement plan. Also, you have to pay taxes on the $100,000. So it's going to cost you like $130,000 to pay the down payment of $100,000 on a $500,000 house. There's a problem with that as well. So the benefit is access to capital. The downside is that we are risking the future. For young people, Social Security is not promised. It's promised, but let's not trust it. Like, I'm 42. I don't trust it. I think that we have to build our own retirement as younger people in the crowd, and as older people that we deal with in our retirement community that we service, they struggle with it, because in 8 years the Social Security trust fund's supposed to go upside down, and they're being told, even as senior citizens, that they're going to take a 23% pay cut in 8 years. Okay, how do they deal with that? How do young people deal with it? Young people shouldn't even count on Social Security. Build a retirement that is protected from that. So if you take a chunk of money out, it's not even just the chunk of money you take out, but it's what that $100,000 is going to do for you over the next 20 years, 30 years. So we got to find a better solution. There's tax implications. It's really risky to build a precedent of taking from your retirement to do something temporal or immediate. Sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes you have to cover emergency medical bills or things, and we got to do what we got to do. However, I'd rather see it be used through expanded loan opportunity versus taking it out. So I'd rather they say you can take a greater loan from your 401k if it's for a home. Because the benefit then is you take money out and you're putting it back into your 401k at a fixed rate of 6% or, prime plus 1 or whatever the number is. So I'd rather go the route of a down payment on a home can be covered through a loan. You submit the paperwork, and now rather than $50,000 cap, you can take out whatever is needed up to the number, and then say, like, as long as it's not more than 30% of your 401k. So there's going to be some rules to it, but create a system that you put back in. Because if you take it out right now for a down payment on a house, you can't put that money back in.
Yeah.
So instead, create the loan where you can pay it back over time. It's earning interest, and it at least still doesn't derail your retirement. It's not what it could have been, but it's better than just letting you take it out. We got to do something, though. The affordability crisis is real. People, and there's two sides to it, right? Do you deserve a perfectly manicured, perfect house right out of college that is Instagram ready? Probably not, right? So ours, we got it. It had been foreclosed on for 2.5 years. It had flooding in the basement. It had awful walls, awful carpet, awful everything. And we didn't have money to pay someone to fix it. So what did we do? Got some paint rollers and got to work. And we kept the crappy carpet until we could afford to fix it. But over time, we took so much pride in that home that we turned a house into a home, and it was where our kids came home to. It was a beautiful thing. And selling it was difficult for us as a family because we just loved that house so much. Until we moved into a bigger, better house, and we're like, forget that place. That place sucked, And so we did that. And then we went to the new house, and we loved it. And the kids grew. Yeah. But then because we were able to take the proceeds of one and buy another, we're able to roll it forward, but own at an appropriate size and rate. So I think we need to maybe temper expectations a little bit for a first home and not try to do it for Instagram, but instead do it more for just my family and like what we need. And then just build equity. In the same way, your first deposit in your 401k is not $1 million. You got to put in $100, and eventually it'll get to $1 million. Same way you get a home, start building. There needs to be adjustments. There needs to be provisions made. Kids are having a harder time. As soon as we gave away government-backed student loans, the cost of college tuition has skyrocketed. So my mom paid for nursing school by waiting tables, right? Because she could pay cash for college, waiting tables, and do it. Kids can't do that anymore.
No,
it's
you have
crazy.
To have a full-time job to pay for student loans now. Yeah.
And even then, you can't pay cash for it for a $30,000 a year. What kid can earn and go to school full-time? So kids are kind of hosed going into college, if they should go to college. And then coming out of college, you're straddled in 120 grand of debt, and the houses are all $300,000 or more, and you're making 50 grand. Like, what are you supposed to do? Trade school, or don't go to college unless you know that you need to go to college.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for a lot of those things.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
Correct. And that's what we're dealing with as my son's 15.
Yeah.
Should you go to college right out? Should you figure it out? Should you do some online for cheaper? There's a lot of options. But as a people, incentivize builders to build small houses and then give loans. There's like veterans loans. I'm glad we have veterans loans. There used to be the first time buyer credit.
Yeah.
If we could incentivize builders to build small houses and then give a first time home buyer a lower interest rate so they can get that house and don't allow corporations to buy it. Now they can get their foot in the door physically and, metaphorically, but they can get their foot in the door of real estate and start building something worth having. So there's a lot that has to be done. So I'm glad that President Trump is talking about it. I'm not sure that robbing the 401k outside of a loan. I like the loan idea. I don't like the idea of just straight ripping out of the 401k to buy a house. But I think there's things we can do to make it better.
Please use this fodder to take to your dinner table this coming.
Welcome to Mike's soapbox. I mean, as my kids get older, they say like what the world you experience is the world you see. And so for us, like, this is what I'm looking at for my kids.
I know.
Like, the world they're walking into, as my son is 15 now, and my 15, 13, 11, and 10, what do the next 15 to 20 years of real estate market look like? And how do I help my kids enter into it?
Managing your money for retirement. If you're looking for help in that space, Mike is here. If you have questions, MichiganRetirementCoach.com. You can also click on the links we got posted in the show notes. But for you youngins, be wary of taking out your 401k for it to buy a house.
Shoot us a message. We'll talk through it with you a little bit. Shoot us a message. Leave us a comment.
Mike's here to help. MichiganRetirementCoach.com.